Hello and welcome to the AAU TV Mid-Week News, coming to you from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities in Accra, Ghana. My name is Lydia Nyame. With me in the studio are
Jemima, Deladem, Dotsey.
And I am Agyemang, Okyere, Darko.
And now the headlines on higher education. Kenya relaxes university admission and entry criteria. And also leadership Wrangles undermines progress in higher education.
In our health news, coffee and tea drinking may be associated with reduced rates of stroke and dementia. And also giving social support to others may boost health.
And in our science and technology news, heavily mutated Omicron variant puts scientists on alert. We're glad you made time to watch us on the AAU TV Mid-Week News. Don't go anywhere, we'll be more news after this short break. Stay with us.
Welcome to GTP Health and Safety Corner. If you feel like stepping out, remember social distancing. You might just save a life. Rock at home, stay safe. Wash your hands with soap under running water. Spaced out but still in touch. Check in on your loved ones and stay safe. GTP, timeless.
Welcome back from the break. And the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service has drafted a new framework that relaxes the subject combinations that students must have to take to be allowed into a specific course. Starting next year, institutions will use the new university admission criteria and entry requirements, which are expected to expand study options for students. The new education framework by the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service will give easy access to students when selecting their preferred courses and, more importantly, allow them access to programs of their choice based on their subjects' pass marks. The new rules were ratified by university administrators across private and public sectors in November and will be further subjected to university senates for approval before rollout. The new model has seen the introduction of new subclusters in the so-called cluster subjects with lower admission requirements to accommodate students who may have attained lower grades in the same category. This is a departure of the past, where students who did not meet the entry criteria in the clusters were locked out of certain courses, forcing them to seek out other degree courses which they had not intended to study or stay away from the university altogether. For example, a student seeking to study agriculture-related course is currently required to have a mandatory pass mark of a C+ in both biology and chemistry. Under the new approach, the requirements for both subjects has been lowered to a C. Likewise, a C+ in agriculture has been allowed as a substitute for a C in biology. Only students who need mathematics as a core subject in their field of study, like medicine, will be required to pass it. Currently, nearly all courses require a student to have passed mathematics with a C+ or better. We want to ensure that students can access the courses they have dreamed of pursuing. We would rather have as many subclusters as possible than have students placed in the wrong programs, said the Chief Executive Officer of KUCCPS, Mercy Wahome. Since the lowering of the entry grade, more students are now being enrolled in the regular programs, which is more than 10 times cheaper. Well, that's an interesting news right there. Kenya relaxing its university admission and entry criteria.
Sure.
I would want us to discuss the impact of this new model, which seems to have reduced or made room for flexibility in terms of university criteria in Kenya. Jemima?
First of all, I would say the general idea behind the introduction of this new grading system is to filter educational performance and also motivate students to actually do well in their studies. However, some students are still not able to meet the cutoff point, not because they are not learning, but because of other factors that are affecting their studies. For instance, a student living in a rural area with an ambition of becoming, let me say, an engineer or a medical doctor faces a lot of limitations in their area of in their area, which is in the rural areas. And this, goes a long way to sometimes affect their grades, leaving them, fighting, or let me say, looking for other options to explore, but not their dream career. So with the introduction of this new model, I think it's going to create more room and make it easy for some people who are in these deprived areas to be able to pursue or get to that grade, to be able to pursue their courses. Their dreams.
Well, Jemima has given us one positive impact. I would want to know if you have a negative impact to rebut what she has just said.
I wouldn't say rebut, but I would say just allow me some time to just draw my colleagues' attention to what you mentioned, that it was a means to filter performance. I think that would be quite complementary to the model. The model rather is trying to open up the pause and then allow students entry into higher education institutions rather filter performance. Otherwise, we would have to increase the grading system than decrease it. So now from a B plus to a C plus, it means that you can now at any level get to that level and then perhaps gain access. So accessibility is the issue because Kenya at a point in time have been battling with gross sexual enrollment ratio. 2009 4%, 2019 or 2019 is 10.4% compared to Ghana today, or let's say 2021 18%. So I think we're looking at the current ratio they have. There is a need to expand because the ordeal was that students qualify in some aspect, but in some courses that are prerequisite for them to go into university are actually the reason why I didn't just enable them from getting admission. So for that reason, then let's lower the grade requirements and allow them to at least get a C plus to qualify for their program, except medicine, which is quite very stringent on the requirements. But I think for that purpose, opening it up for people to go to school, acquire skills, and become very relevant in the Kenyan environment is ideal. So I think it's their system, it's their country, their economy, and they know what they want. But they see that we depriving others of a field of higher education wouldn't help us. Let's loosen the strings and allow people to get trained. So that's important.
Okay, well, how about quality assurance? Because that is one thing that every university looks out for. Don't you think that with the introduction of this new model, it is sort of going to put a question mark on the quality assurance of universities and the students produced out of these universities?
Yeah, I remember vividly what I remember about quality assurance back in school, that quality is context defined. You know, everybody has their own way of defining their quality. If yours is about price or the cost of the product, mine is about how cheap it is for me. Others, it's how fits what I'm going to buy or what I want is for my purpose. So if the Kenyan economy says that we understand our terrain, we think that our youth or our young people should be given the necessary skills they need to be relevant to our economy, and how would I want to deprive all the masses of these young people because of some courses that they couldn't pass? Therefore, I'll reduce the requirement or the criteria, allow them access to go and study, and give them at least a skill or two to thrive. In Ghana, it may be different, but I know that the Minister for Education, Honorable Okyere, is trying to reduce the criteria for senior high schools for students who graduate from primary schools or junior high schools to gain easy access to senior high school, because that is the midpoint that he believes that everybody should pass through. So
one thing I want to know is, do you think these students who had lower grades but with these new models are given the chance to enroll in universities to probably pursue courses they want to pursue? Do you think they will be able to live up to that standard? Because I mean, there are certain courses that require certain level of intellect, and I mean, in our society, in African, we just assume that once you are not an A student or a B student, you are not too smart, which I think sometimes is wrong. But that's where we find ourselves. Don't you think these students are going to have challenges, I mean, manning up to that standard?
No, I think globally, if you compare the African higher education criteria system globally, we are much kind of the tightest or the highest. People leave Africa, go to Europe, and then they do way well. And they say, well, back home it was not so easy. I'm not undermining the Western education system and their criteria. All I'm saying is that over here we live up to very tough standards, and it's good because we want it like that way. But I think that Kenya is taking a very bold step. to say that I need to open up my education system, and I wouldn't allow courses or prerequisites to pull people down. I'm going to open it up, reduce the bar, and have them cross easily, because it's not about them having everything or passing everything. It's about them proving they can do something, and they need those skills. Just a course can deprive you of being relevant to your economy. So I think that's a bold step, and if we have to study, or let's say emulate, it would help people to pursue the programs they want to pursue because of one course that they had a C plus, a B plus, and they couldn't qualify. I think it would be worth it.
Well, that's true. I think I agree with you when you say Kenya is taking a bold step now. Well, meanwhile, leadership wrangles have weakened several higher education institutions in Africa to a point of near collapse, suggesting that this is an area that should be developed to strengthen the sector. Participants held at a hybrid conference organized by the Africa Higher Education Research Institute in early November. In Kenya, several reputable institutions have been caught up in leadership wrangles. At Moi University, activities have been disrupted following a lecturer strike demanding the implementation of a delayed collective bargaining agreement. The university has reportedly been crippled by tribalism due to a dominance of the Kalenjin tribe from the Rift Valley region of Kenya in management structures. Masindo Molero University of Science and Technology is another institution in Kenya that has recently suffered leadership conflict. In August this year, the institution hired a vice-chancellor after operating without one for 33 months. Council members were accused of working with union officials to undermine the running of the university. Tekana University College has also experienced leadership pains that saw Tekana governor accuse it of favoritism in those occupying its top management. The University of Nairobi similarly has had its fair share of the top management squabbles that saw the court grant Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha time to resolve an opening crisis. These case studies form the backdrop of why Trufi Kakasumba, the principal of St. Paul University in Nairobi, in her submission at a conference stated that leadership in higher education institutions is more complex and more demanding than in business sector, and is pegged on satisfying more diverse and demanding stakeholders. Kakasumba said, if we are looking into building our institutions, then we must all begin to look at the kind of leadership we have. Well, there we have it in Kenya once again. Leadership conflicts are set to undermine progress in higher education. But I would want to find out what you think are the causes of these disputes between leadership in higher education.
Okay, so first of all, I would want to talk about disagreement between leaders.
Okay.
You know, sometimes in decision making, not everyone will side with what is on ground. Some people actually want to take their stance as well. And then most often too, there is no involvement. You know, as leaders or as people in authority, you need everyone on board to actually help, you know, push a goal or push a common goal. So I think that is it. And lastly, I'll talk about politics, a little politics in leadership to helps brings about disagreement and fight among them.
Okay, Agyemang.
You know, I love the term when you say politics. You know, it's become like politics has been now become an official definition. We have a whole new meaning for politics. It's something negative, something poisonous.
Agyemang, this is the time where everyone on the set would
something toxic.
I mean, everyone on the set would appreciate if you wouldn't be a politician right now.
I'm just saying that we are giving the word politics a different meaning.
But I didn't have any meaning to it.
Have we?
It doesn't really mean what it is.
I don't remember Jemima stating any reason for politics.
So politics, well, she used as a menace, as a malicious term in there. Which actually, it shouldn't be so. Bad politics, I understand. I think that, I'll start with this story of the 3 captains in one boat.
Okay.
You know, everybody paddling or pedaling their boats to different directions. One person going to the north, other to the south, east and the west. Where will be your destination? You will sink. Because if I'm putting my energy to the east and you are doing same to the west, north and south, what is the future of the boat? We will just wreck it up. The same setting or the same narration can be brought into the higher education setting. We have leadership of the university, beginning from the council. The council headed by the chairman, and then the chairperson, and then the vice chancellor, the pro-vice chancellor, and it comes down to the members of management, to lecturers, academic staff, and non-academic staff, and students. All of these people are being led by the chancellor's vision to the vice chancellor who's playing that operational role or executive role.
Yes.
What we need here is integrity. According to the Harvard Business Review, they actually provided some leadership qualities that they believe, if well emulated or well executed, can eschew or can eradicate all these nuances and all this mayhem occurring in our institutions. One is the issue of professional expertise. They mentioned innovativeness. They mentioned transformational leadership and also responsible leadership.
Yes.
Leadership that sidelines, leadership that creates chaos are kinds of leaderships that can have their institutions in these shambles.
Yeah.
So we've had so many cases whereby vice chancellors have been attacked, like the one we had in the story. The university over 33 years
33
months has been running without a vice chancellor, because there is this perception that the university council is working against the seat of the vice chancellor, or because they've all not bought into the idea, the direction of the university. I think that the way forward is a kind of leadership that brings everybody together, brings every stakeholder on board and aligns them all to one vision. So Kwakwa Sumba, who is the principal of the St. Paul University in Kenya, made a very profound statement. I want to read the statement out. She said that it is about time that institutions deploy boundary spanning, whereby internal networks are linked to external information sources. The university isn't operating in silo or in silos. The university must be in good coherence with the environment it finds itself in, and bringing the stakeholders on board in fair and healthy partnership, so we can grow, not neglecting the views and the contributions of every member of the institution. If this is done, why would we want to fight against your tenureship or leadership? So I want to implore all vice chancellors all over the world, especially in Africa, where these stories surmount that much, that find a level ground and bring your members together on one platform to buy the vision you are bringing on board, and let it be one that everybody believes in. With that, you have all the crew members on the ship not becoming mutinies, but rather supporting your cause to that destination. I think that sums it up.
Okay, well, Agyemang has already said it all. Universities should find a way to bring all their members on board. Now, health news is up next.
In our health news, drinking coffee and tea may be associated with a lower risk of stroke and dementia, according to a new study.
Drinking coffee or tea may be associated with a lower risk of stroke and dementia, according to a study of healthy individuals. Drinking coffee was also associated with a lower risk of post-stroke dementia. Strokes are a life-threatening event which cause 10% of death globally. Dementia is also a general term for symptoms related to decline in brain function and is a global health concern with a high economic and social burden. Post-stroke dementia is a condition where symptoms of dementia occur after a stroke. Researchers from China studied 365,682 participants from the UK Biobank who were recruited between 2006 and 2010 and followed them until 2020. At the outset, participants self-reported their coffee and tea intake. Over the study period, 5,079 participants developed dementia and 10,053 experienced at least one stroke. People who drank 2 to 3 cups of coffee or 3 to 5 cups of tea per day, or the combination of 4 to 6 cups of coffee and tea, had the lowest incidence of stroke or dementia. Individuals who drank 2 to 3 cups of coffee and 2 to 3 cups of tea daily had a 32% lower risk of stroke and a 28% lower risk of dementia compared to those who drank neither coffee nor tea. Intake of coffee alone or in combination with tea was also associated with lower risk of post-stroke dementia. The UK Biobank reflects a relatively healthy sample relative to the general population, which could restrict their ability to generalize these associations. Also, relatively few people develop dementia or stroke, which can make it difficult to extrapolate rates accurately to large populations. Finally, while it's possible that coffee and tea consumption might be protective against stroke, dementia and post-stroke dementia, this casualty cannot be inferred from the association. Researchers therefore suggested that moderate consumption of coffee and tea separately or in combination were associated with lower risk of stroke and dementia.
So that is an interesting story, looking at how coffee and tea drinking will help reduce stroke and dementia. But I want us to discuss, what does coffee and tea really contain that helps to reduce stroke and dementia? I'll start from Agyemang.
Yeah, the interesting aspect of this story is that, picking coffee and tea, I would say coffee has lots of antioxidants and tea has some good amount of flavonoids.
Yes.
Now, take the antioxidants. Now, these help keep your blood sugar lower and much more stable. And research provides that taking a moderate amount of coffee, I always say, I wouldn't want to mention over or lower, like a moderate amount of coffee can reduce the risk of you getting stroke, and also can also eradicate the deleterious effect of stroke or use from stroke. But now going back to the flavonoids. The flavonoids are found in fruits and vegetables, some sorts, that lowers the level of cholesterol in the human body. Too much cholesterol amassing from the intake of so much fatty food or high fat diet that can create heart disorders go a long way. But these flavonoids, they go a long way to reduce the level of these cholesterols that can prevent you from getting strokes. And these flavonoids are also rich in antioxidants as well. So you see, they share in that effect. So rich in antioxidants, that also help you to cut down the level of toxins in your human body. So you have the effect of reducing an unrealized amassed toxins in your human body. The cholesterol level is reduced and the sugar is stabilized. Then you can see that tea and coffee goes a long way to reduce one's chances of getting stroke.
No, Agyemang, I mean, there's one thing that makes me question the study. Because, I mean, getting stroke comes with a lot of causes. I mean, in fact, a lot of studies related to heart issues, which comes as a result of people smoking tobacco and the likes. I'm trying really hard to understand how taking in coffee is able to help people who actually got stroke as a result of smoking and the likes.
The study couldn't really mention that it is a definite remedy to prevent stroke. But I like the way it said that moderate consumption, because of some elements that are found within the coffee and the tea. The flavonoids in the tea, and also the antioxidants present in the coffee go a long way to do something that kind of prevents stroke. Just because. Exactly that.
When it comes to your health, being willing to give social support to your spouse, friends, and family may be just as important as receiving assistance, a new study suggests.
While researchers have long taught that receiving social support from others is a key health, results from studies have shown mixed results. Researchers decided to see if giving support may also play an important role in health. They found that on one important measure of health, chronic inflammation, indicators of positive social relationship were associated with lower inflammation only among people who said they were available to provide social support to family and friends. In other words, having friends to lean on may not help your health unless you also say you are available to help them when they need it. Positive relationship may be associated with lower inflammation only for those who believe they can give more support in those relationships. Preliminary evidence in the study suggests that the link between health and the willingness to help others may be especially important for women. The study results show that the healing power of a good relationship comes from the fact that the support is mutual. The study used data from 1,054 participants in the National Survey of Midlife Development in the US. These were all healthy adults between 34 and 84 years old. Participants completed a questionnaire that measured their social integration, asking if they were married or living with their partner, or how often they contacted family and friends, and how often they attended social groups or events. Participants also completed a measure of how much they believed they could rely on their family, friends, or spouse if they needed help. About 2 years later, these participants returned for blood tests, which included a test for interleukin-6, which is a marker of systematic inflammatory in the body. The findings showing the importance of being available to help others held true even after taking into account a broad range of other factors that may affect inflammation, from age, income, and education to health behaviors, medication use, and diagnosed medical conditions.
You know, this is really an amazing story. Looking at how one given another social support could boost their health. What do you think, or what do you make of this study?
I think it's wonderful because solidarity, I mean, is what makes life so exciting. And looking at how there's so many ways one can lend out or provide social support through charity, going out recreational days. I mean, the holidays are coming. Holidays are around the corner. We have family reunions. I mean, Thanksgiving. And all these things goes a long way to restore confidence. If you're solitude and you're alone without anybody inspiring you or doing something that really gives you that motivation, you are lost out. So I mean, seeing family, sharing, going out there to meet people who are homeless, giving them that inspiration, gifting. People don't like gifting. I mean, gifts within a year. Do some gifting, donate, go out there with a loved one, crack jokes. I mean, be happy.
You know, Agyemang, I just want to come in, okay, because I know support comes in both ways, okay. So support best works when it's mutual. The study actually gave a scenario here. It says having friends to lean on may not help your health. So it's saying that social support alone is not enough to help your health, unless you also have people who are available to help you when you need it. Because assuming I am available to help you when you need help, at that moment I'll just feel proud that I've been able to help a friend out. But whatever I needed and you can't be there for me, don't you think that would torment my health?
That would surely torment.
So for me, I think support comes in both ways. It has to be mutual. So as I'm about to gift you a present during Christmas, I expect you to do same.
Exactly.
just as one of the biggest artists in Africa, Davido, threw a challenge to his friends out there that he needs money. I mean, he bought so much money. Davido, send me money. So the same way we do that. I think it really, I mean, it made him so happy, and then he did charity with the money. It means that, I mean, having people to rely on, also people to also rely on you back. Exchanging that care and support gives you that confidence.
So I mean, I think people shouldn't always be on the receiving end. Just as you're receiving, learn to also give, and then in turn we all help our mental health.
That's true. So we'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about tech news.
GTP Health and Safety Corner. If you feel like stepping out, remember social distancing. You might just save a life. Rock at home, stay at home, stay safe. Wash your hands with soap under running water. Spaced out but still in touch. Check in on your loved ones and stay safe. GTP, timeless.
Researchers are racing to determine whether fast-spreading coronavirus variant poses a threat to COVID-19 vaccines' effectiveness. Researchers in South Africa are racing to track the concerning rise of a new variant of SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus that causes COVID-19. The variant harbors a large number of mutations found in other variants, including Delta, and it seems to be spreading quickly across South Africa.
A new coronavirus variant with an extremely high number of mutations has been detected in South Africa. It has 32 mutations on its spike proteins used by the virus to enter body cells and the target of most vaccines. A UK-based expert says this level of mutation could have come from a single patient with a weakened immune system, possibly an untreated AIDS patient. The new variant has some of the mutations seen in other variants, and there's some completely new mutations too. Richard Lessels, an infectious diseases expert in South Africa, said this means the virus could have enhanced transmissibility and the ability to evade vaccines. So far, the variant is still mostly concentrated in one province in South Africa, where 77 cases have been reported. However, there are 4 cases in Botswana and 1 in Hong Kong identified in a traveler returning from South Africa. Britain has yet to detect a case, but rushed to introduce travel restrictions.
So what we will be doing is from midday tomorrow, we will be suspending all flights from 6 Southern African countries, and we will adding those countries to the travel red list. Those countries are South Africa, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, and Zimbabwe, and Botswana.
Amid much uncertainty, a WHO expert group will meet on Friday and will likely label the strain as a variant of concern or variant of interest. The strain is also likely to be named the new variant. They will also try to measure the variant's potential to drive new waves globally like Delta did. One thing to consider will be how well will this variant spread in countries with much higher vaccination rates than South Africa's 24%. Young'un, Arirang News.
Just as we have it, as the world wonders if the new COVID-19 variant will be of concern or of interest, I want to just find out from you, my team members, about this new variant and what your view is. Do you think that the new Omicron COVID-19 variant is that of concern, of interest? I mean, looking at regarding the features we have so far.
Yeah.
What do you think is the case, or maybe the case awaiting response from the WHO?
Okay, so I think before we can determine if the Omicron variant is a variant of concern or of interest, we would have to first of all understand the features. Yeah. So I'm just going to touch on a few of it. Sure. I'll talk about the severity of the disease, its reinfection, and then its efficacy to the COVID vaccine. Yeah. So with the severity of the disease, as of now, it is not so clear as to the severity of the the variant. Yeah. Because when you compare it to the other variants, such as the Delta and then the Alpha, some people who have or who had that variant had to survive on oxygen. Yeah. They had to they suffered from a lot of severe illness. But for this Omicron variant, much as it has over 50 mutations, it is not so certain. So which is why South Africa, alongside with other countries, are still researching into the variant to understand it much better. Yeah. And then as to its reinfection, all the studies I have come across suggest that, yes, if you have had COVID before, you still stand a chance of getting the Omicron variant of COVID. So just because you've had COVID before doesn't mean you wouldn't get it. And then finally, its efficacy to the COVID vaccine. I mean, we all know and we've heard stories of people who have had the vaccine and yet have contracted this variant. So of course, as of now, WHO is not so sure. It is still working with technical partners to determine whether or not the vaccine is strong enough to stand the variant or it isn't. Yeah.
You know, I think Lydia has said it also. We just have to wait for the WHO to come out and confirm their findings with us. Yeah.
But a recent tweet by CTAM on Twitter said a sigh of relief in South Africa as Omicron variant appears to be a super mild mutation. WHO and coronavirus experts are increasingly convinced the Omicron variant is super mild and has not led to a jump in COVID-19 deaths. So I think that answers your question and your quest that it has been found to be super mild and not that which can create more deaths like the Delta did previously. So I think that answers your
then that's some great news. But I mean, I think with this whole COVID thing, when it started, I've realized that any kind of variant that comes after the other has serious
repercussions.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
but
I don't know why.
The Omicron seems to be quite less
and it
than
seems
the Delta.
this is the one that comes with the biggest or the
50
highest
mutations.
mutations.
32 resided in the police pack. So we wonder what exactly is going on with it.
Agyemang, I really thought this is an information you'd want to keep from our viewers. Because if they find out that it isn't so severe.
Oh, well, I think that we're responsible for, just giving them all they need to know. But you have to be safe, right?
Yeah. Important. Well, that is all for the news. And in wrapping up, let's take a quick recap of our headlines. On higher education, Kenya relaxes university admission and entry criteria. And also leadership wrangles undermines progress in higher education.
In our health news, coffee and tea drinking may be associated with reduced rates of stroke and dementia. And also giving social support to others may boost health.
And in our tech news, heavily mutated Omicron variant puts scientists alert. And
now thank you very much for staying with the AAU TV News as we keep you informed. My name is Lydia Nyame.
And I am Jemima Deladem Dotsey.
My name is Agyemang Darko, and we're glad you made time with us on the AAU TV News. Have a nice day, be safe, and catch us next time on AAU TV News. Bye.